What's good, guys? If you don't know me, my name is Aleko, and I run this brand called Wounds We Wear. Today, I'm going to be talking about everything I learned from making $13,383 in 18 days with my brand. Here's the proof. So I've never really posted on YouTube before. I don't really know how to edit my videos, so I'm kind of just going to sit here and yap to you for the next 10 minutes or whatever. I know your attention span is probably awful and you don't want to sit here, but I wish I could have seen a video like this before starting my brand or doing a drop like this. So this is genuinely free game. I'm putting you on. I'm going to teach you 6 things I did well, which I think contributed to me making this amount of money, and 6 things that didn't go well or mistakes that I made. And keep in mind, last drop, I did like $2,000 or $3,000. So this is all in a span of like a month that this happened. I've only had this brand for a couple of months. It's a brand new brand. So everything I'm telling you now is from my current experience. All right, so the first thing I did is I would post like a maniac. I would post 5 times a day on TikTok and take those videos and upload them to Instagram. And this might sound excessive, but I actually had one of those videos, just one out of like 300. It got, I think, like 800,000 views, and I got tons of comments, people asking me about the clothes, what size to get. I would go through and respond to every single comment, and I know I got a ton of customers from there. And of course, I was posting on my story about it, just gathering all the customers there. So that was very helpful. And it might seem like, oh, it's just this one video that helped me get all these sales, but it's not really like that. It's the fact that I was posting consistently over the 3 weeks that I was promoting the drop. I didn't miss a single day. I didn't miss a single video. And that's the type of consistency that's going to lead to virality. Even if the content's not the best, just posting consistently, eventually you're going to have some sort of luck, some sort of success. At least that's what I believe. And I did have this one viral video, and it totally changed everything for me. And then similar to what I said before, another thing that really helped me is just responding to all my customers. Every single DM I would get, every single story reply, I would do those question poll things on my story. I would respond to everybody from that. I don't really need to be mysterious. Some brand owners, their whole brand is based on, they're this like mysterious entity that doesn't really interact with their customers, and wow, look at them, they're so cool, whatever. I don't need to do that. I'd rather be genuine and have a real connection with my customers without doing all of that. So it's up to you, whatever you decide to do for your brand. But for me personally, this really helped me, because then all these customers were starting to trust me. I even had full like conversations with some of them. So they're just people. I mean, you're not superior to them because you're the brand owner and they're the customer. At the end of the day, those are the people that make your brand. So I always like to treat those people very nicely, always talk to them respectfully, all of that. That definitely helped me. And then the third thing, I think, was just the fact that I had 8 different products. I wasn't just selling one hoodie or one tee. I had like 3 different hoodies, 3 different tees, a pair of sweats. I had a lot of different stuff. Usually I would do like 5 pieces in every collection, but for this collection, I did it a little differently. I restocked some of my best-selling pieces in addition to selling some new pieces. And I think this really helped, because not only did I have my old customers who had already bought from me and they trusted me and they liked the new pieces, they liked the direction of the brand, but I could also bring in new traffic, not just on the new products that I was selling, but on my best-selling products, which I knew already sold well. And additionally, 8 products gives you so many different marketing angles. Every single video that I made, if I was explaining like the meaning behind a piece, which is something I like to do, because I think a big part of my brand is like, I have an actual meaning behind the clothes. I try to avoid just like slapping a Pinterest graphic on a shirt and then trying to come up with some random meaning. I genuinely have like a passion and a meaning behind my clothes, which I think is really rare in the scene right now, because, you know, specific brands, they don't really care about that. They'll just, you know, find stuff on Pinterest, put it on a shirt and call it a day. I don't like that. I have an actual meaning behind my clothes. So I try to convey that message as best as I can through my videos. Even though maybe it's not the best quality of the video, people understand that there's an underlying message there. And a lot of people actually do connect with that. Now, on the other hand, having 8 products might not have been the best idea, because people didn't know what they wanted to buy. It can actually be a little bit overwhelming if you have customers. They know they want to buy from you, but they don't know what to buy, and then they end up buying nothing. But I think for the most part, it was more helpful than it was detrimental. So that's my third thing. And then number 4 was the fact that I had so much on-body content. I actually got my friend Emmanuel to help me with this. He runs the brand V2 by Valère. You've probably seen it. He's gone crazy viral. So he was helping me out with content. I got him in every single piece basically. And then I made posts for each of those pieces. So there's a difference when customers are seeing something on the ground and it's like a flat lay. They don't really know how the piece is going to fit. They have to do everything like with their imagination. So when you actually take the clothes and put them on people, then people can see how they're going to fit. They can see the sizing reference. They know what size they're going to get. So having this type of content really helped me. I haven't done the best job of this in the past. So if you got a brand, make sure you do more than just flat lays. Get them on people. Doesn't matter if it's not perfect quality, perfect content. It's important to have them on people. So there's the reference. I also had pictures of the on bodies. I had that on the website too. So every time somebody went to check out, they didn't know what size to get. I had that and the size chart. So that really helped a lot. And then another thing which really helped me, I wouldn't say this is like the biggest thing because most of my sales did come from the organic, but I was running ads, what's called a pre-drop campaign, before I actually dropped. So I'd spend about $10 a day, just sort of like to build awareness of my brand. Except instead of sending the customers straight to my Instagram profile so they could follow me, I would send them to my SMS list. Because when you have customers signing up for an SMS list, it's almost like an extra layer of interest. If somebody just goes to your profile and follows you, that doesn't really mean anything. There's brands with tens of thousands of followers where the followers don't even buy from them because it doesn't really mean anything. But when somebody actually takes the effort to put their number into the list, it's kind of like they're RSVPing for your brand. It's like a further step. It means they actually have more interest than the average customer. So I would do that to help me get some SMS signups, which eventually did convert to some sales. But again, mainly most of that came from the organic marketing. And then after I dropped, I was still running ads, but it didn't really do that well. I even worked with people to help me with it, although I know how to run my own ads. It just didn't do that well. And that could be for a lot of reasons. It's really not that important to me. But yeah, running ads before the drop definitely did help, just like build awareness and all of that. So if you're not doing that for your brand, there's lots of brands doing this right now. You'll see like the biggest brands like Peace and War, those types of brands, they always do this. They put a ton of money into the ads before they even drop, just to build awareness of their brand and of their drop, build up the hype, exclusivity, all of that. So this did help to some extent. And now the last thing, this was after I dropped. It's not everything leading up to the drop, but after I dropped, I would get so many DMs asking me, where's my order? I ordered 2 days ago, it hasn't shipped. And keep in mind, I did everything I could to make it super clear that this was a pre-order. I wrote on my story 100 times, I would post it all the time. It's a pre-order. You gotta wait 2 to 3 weeks before your product shipped. Luckily, I was working with a Pakistan manufacturer who actually made the clothes really fast so the people didn't have to wait that long. And everybody knows Instagram brands are notorious for not shipping. Now, I would never do that. I would never scam my customers, but people don't know that, especially people who haven't bought from me before. So a really important thing for me was responding to every single DM I would get. And trust me, I got 250 orders. I must have gotten 200 DMs. Everybody wanted to know, where's my order? When's it shipping? Even though I wrote super clearly, you gotta wait 2 to 3 weeks. I even had it on the website. I can't be any more clear about it. But at the end of the day, most people really aren't paying attention to that stuff and they're gonna get really like panicked, like, where's my order? I want my clothes, whatever. Some people would email me like 10 times if I didn't respond in like an hour. But it's very important if no matter how many orders you do, if you're getting people asking where are my clothes, don't ignore them. I know it's not fun to respond. I did not want to spend time responding to emails asking where the order was when I had said 100 times before, your order is shipping 2 to 3 weeks. But this is the way that you're going to build an audience that trusts you. When you respond to them, you're friendly, you're nice, you explain it to them. Yeah, it's a pre-order, you have to wait. I understand your frustration, whatever. That makes people trust you. And in general, everybody who would send me a comment, a DM, or an email like that, I would respond to them, and then they would kind of just leave me alone. Like, they wouldn't bother me about it again because they're like, okay, he responded. I'm not going to get scammed. It would provide them some sort of consolation. But many people don't do this, and you should do this. Unless you're getting thousands and thousands of orders and you literally can't. Then you hire a customer support team. But I think this is very important, especially in the scene now where there's so many scams and stuff going on. So I would say that's my last thing is responding to everybody, making sure that my customers feel like they're being heard, like I actually care about them. I'm not just using them to buy from me. I'm not going to scam them. That was definitely very helpful. If you're not doing that, I don't care how big, how small your brand is, you should always respond to your customers to the best of your ability as much as you can. And if you can't, get somebody else to do it. All right, now I'm going to talk about 6 mistakes I made and 6 lessons I learned. So I know it's been a lot of yapping in this video. I'm sorry you got to sit through all of this, but I guarantee you this is very valuable information, and it's going to help you so much if you just pay attention from this. And especially now, if you just learn from my mistakes and don't make the same mistakes, it's going to save you so much time and effort and headache. So pay attention to what I'm going to say. All right, so number 1, this is probably the stupidest mistake I've ever made. And it wasn't really my fault, but I should have done more to prevent this from happening. So basically, once I got the bulk order of all my clothes, I realized that my manufacturer hadn't put any branding on the clothes. There was no neck label in the back. Usually I try to do a tag on the clothes with my logo. There was none of that. Not even the bags were branded for the clothes. So all my customers after that received packages, and the only way to tell what brand it was from is to look on the shipping label, and it says Wounds We Wear. Of course, some people might have remembered that who they bought from or they're following me, but this is absolutely the stupidest mistake you can make as a brand owner. And I told my manufacturer to do this, and he didn't do it because he just didn't do it. It's cheaper for him. I don't really know what happened there, but if you're a brand owner, make sure that you have branding. At the very least, have a neck label on your clothes. This was absolutely ridiculous, unacceptable, unprofessional that I didn't have any of that. But at the end of the day, I got the clothes. They didn't have branding. What am I going to do? I had to send them out. And I did get a good amount of people tagging me on their story and stuff, but that number could have been much higher if I actually had branding. And in months from now, people might forget who they bought from. Maybe they want to buy from me again, but they forget the name of the brand. And it's ridiculous. I could have avoided that problem, had so many more sales if I was just more on top of this and asking oh, make sure you put the branding on the labels. It really shouldn't be your responsibility to remind your manufacturer to do things that you agreed on. But again, it's a business partnership. You're going to have to do more of the work. They don't know exactly what you want. They want to make it as cheap as possible as they can for themselves. So that responsibility does fall on you. I would say always follow up with your manufacturer. Make sure they're doing what you want. Make sure they send you videos, product pictures of the clothing. Otherwise, you might run into this issue like I did. And then my second mistake, this was totally stupid. It was almost as bad as the first one. So I had a countdown for when the drop would happen, and the drop was supposed to be on September 5th. And for some reason, I miscalculated the date in my head when I was making the countdown, and I made it for September 6th. So the countdown for the drop was 24 hours late. So everybody who went on my Instagram story and turned on the countdown, and keep in mind, I was posting this countdown after I had that viral video, and I was getting thousands and thousands of views on my story. Everybody was looking. I got so many people to turn on that countdown, and then it ended up being for the wrong day. So what happened is on the first 2 days of the drop, the revenue that I made was split exactly even between the first 2 days. And usually what'll happen, your first day, you'll do really good, you'll do a lot of money, and then the second day it's less because that big hype of people and everybody who's waiting to buy, they've already bought from you. So it's just sort of customers coming in slowly. But what happened is I made almost exactly the same amount on the first 2 days of the drop. And this isn't the biggest problem ever, but it's just not professional. If you have a brand and things are set for the wrong day, it's just not professional at all. So that's another thing, just paying attention to small details. Make sure you don't make these dumb mistakes that I made, and I'm going to make sure to be more on top of that in the future so I don't make a mistake like that again. All right, and then my third mistake, this wasn't that big of a mistake, but just the quality of my content was not the best. I could have put a lot more effort into doing a professional studio shoot or having a camera to actually take the pictures. My flat lays were really bad. I'll try to find a picture to show you. They were really bad, and that's just laziness on my part. I put in 80% effort when I could put in 100% effort. And I hate that because of that 20% effort that I didn't put in, I probably lost sales and missed out on customers because of that. So this is another thing. When you have a brand, you have to put all your effort, make everything as good as you can. Don't slack. Don't do that, because all it's going to do is mess you up. And if you're really dedicated and you care about your brand, you got to put everything into it. And actually, speaking of that, for my new drop right now, I have a studio shoot going on in 2 days or 3 days, and I have a bunch of models going there. I'm going to get very professional content, which I have never really done for my brand. So hopefully that'll help. I'll document that too. All right, but to get back on track, mistake number 4, and this is something that you'll notice all the biggest brands, they always do this in some shape or form. And this is having exclusivity on your products. So this was a pre-order. So there wasn't really a limit on how many orders I could get. Usually when you're doing a pre-order, you want to get as many orders as possible because it makes the products cheaper for you to order. But what most brands will do is they'll say like, oh, the first 3 orders, they get their order refunded. Or the first 5 orders get a free piece or a free, sticker or whatever, something like that. And what that does is it motivates your customers to want to buy from you early. Because otherwise, they can buy today, they can buy in a week. You don't want that. Because if somebody tells themselves they're going to buy in a week, they're probably just going to forget and not buy at all. So it's very important to have some sort of an incentive to get your customers to buy right when the drop happens. And it's better for you. It guarantees the sales. It's better. I had nothing like that. And that was just a big mistake. If I had said, like, I'm going to refund the first 3 orders, or I'm going to send an extra piece in the first 5 orders, I know I would have gotten a lot more sales. So don't make this mistake. Have some sort of incentive for your brand if you're doing a drop, and that's going to help generate a lot more sales, at least in the beginning stages. All right, my 5th mistake. I had no idea this could even happen, but basically after I shipped all my orders, or I had them all packed up, I had one of my friends helping me, and we put them like in our cars, and of course it's like 10 huge boxes full of packages, and I didn't really know like where to drop them off because the post office can't fit. They like literally can't fit these giant boxes of stuff. There's just not enough space. Especially where I was, it was kind of like more urban, and the post offices are smaller. They don't have endless space. So I went to one post office, and the postmaster guy, he just said, no, you got to leave. You got to go somewhere else. And then I went to a second post office where, some post offices have these like huge drop-off boxes where you can put your packages in there. And there was this other guy there, and I don't know what he was doing. He had a bunch of these like little bags. It must have been like thousands of them. I don't know what he was doing, but luckily I saw what he was doing. He was putting them in those packages. So in the big boxes there. So then this guy comes out and like from the post office while I'm trying to put my packages in there, and he gets pissed and he's like, what are you doing? You're not allowed to put your boxes here. You gotta like sign up. You gotta do this in advance. And I was like, oh, my bad. And then he picks up one of the packages, and I was in New York when I shipped these packages, but the address for the return address on my shipping labels is in Massachusetts. So he looked at them, and I don't know, he thought I was like scamming my customers or something, and he got pissed, and he's like, no, you can't leave these here. You can't do that. And then he got into it a little bit with my friend, and it just created this like huge issue that I totally didn't expect. It was like the last thing that I needed. I'm packing my orders for like 8 hours, and then I'm finally ready to ship them, and then this guy's like having a heart attack because he doesn't want me to put them in the box, and he thinks I'm scamming my customers. So I ended up getting that resolved, but he basically said, you can't come back here. You can't drop your packages off if the return address is in a different state. So I don't know what the point of that is, but maybe just be aware of that and make sure you have something set up in advance. If you see that you're getting tons of orders, you have to find a way to like plan it or whatever, sign up for like the USPS drop-off thing. Otherwise, you might run into this issue too. And then, the last thing is just, it's a lot to handle. When I went from getting like 50 orders to almost 250 in this drop, it's a huge jump. And you're always going to think, oh, I'm prepared. It's money coming in. All I have to do is pack the orders. But it's really not like that. It's super stressful. When you have 250 pieces of paper, you can't even mess up one piece because then the package will go to the wrong customer. And that ended up happening. I sent accidentally some packages. I sent it to the wrong customers. And then I had to pay for the shipping labels. I had to send them a new piece. On top of that, the manufacturer sent some of the pieces damaged. And some of the pieces, he didn't even send them in the right sizes. So I had about like 10 customers that I just couldn't ship their order because I didn't have any product to send to them. And this, again, comes down to picking the right manufacturer, which I probably didn't do the best job of doing that. I'm going to try to work with China from now on because Pakistan, there's always something going on. I might make a video about that too, but there's always something going on, always some sort of issue. I don't think I've had a single order where there's not like an issue with the bulk or the samples or whatever. But yeah, you think it's going to be easy. All you have to do is package the orders. It's really difficult and it takes a lot of time. I said I was with my friend. There was 2 of us and it took 8 hours. I was up at like before 8 a.m. and I finished at like 4 p.m. And then on top of that, I had to go and drop off the stuff at the post office, which I just talked about before this. So it's really a lot more work than you think. It's not like you snap your fingers and they're all packaged. Usually bigger brands will have some sort of like a warehouse or workers doing it for them. But when you're in the stage where it's like you're not at the point where you're getting so many orders that you can't handle it yourself, but it's not so few orders that it's easy to pack, it can be really stressful. So again, just planning your time, managing your time, making sure that you know what to expect before it happens if you see that you're going to have to ship out this many orders. All right, so that's everything. That's 6 things I did well and 6 mistakes or lessons I learned from making over $13,000 in like a week and a half. All right, so that's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. Even if this video gets 1 view, I hope it helps that one person. So thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.